This is a story of an ordinary girl named Jiang who could take up even the hardest jobs for the sake of money. She was completely unaware that very soon her entire life was about to change. So the story begins with a girl named Jiang entering a building. She rushed toward the elevator, stepped inside, and noticed a man standing there. She wondered who that person might be, but then ignored him and continued talking on her phone, which was, quite annoyingly, on speaker mode. The man in the lift was the main character of this story named Garvey, and he was listening to everything she was saying. Jiang's friend on the call remarked that her boss was extremely strict and asked why she even worked with him. Jiang replied that she worked for money, that 2,000 yuan was a huge amount for her, and that her friend already knew how important money was in her life. Inside the elevator, she started changing out of her costume. She removed her tail, handed it to Garvey, and asked him to hold it for a while. Garvey silently took it. While still on the phone, she explained to her friend that no matter how rude or ill-mannered her client was, and no matter how angry she felt toward him, she could not say a word against him. She had to deal with him with a smile in order to get the project. Soon the elevator stopped at her desired floor, where her boss was already waiting. On seeing him, she said that he was there and quickly moved toward him. But her boss ignored her and went straight to Garvey, telling him that he had arrived. Seeing this, Jiang almost forgot to breathe and wondered in shock if this was their new client. Her boss casually remarked that obviously it was, and asked what she thought that he had been standing by the elevator just to welcome her. Jiang looked at Garvey and thought regretfully what she had done. Garvey returned her tail to her and walked toward the office. Her boss told her to come inside quickly as well. In the next scene, the three of them were sitting in the office, although Jiang was still standing while her boss went on praising her in front of Garvey. He told Garvey that she was one of their most hard-working employees, that she never flattered clients, and that she never worked merely for money. Hearing this, Garvey gave her a sarcastic look while she forced a fake smile. There was nothing else she could do after all. He had already heard everything she said in the elevator. That's why he told her boss directly that he was not interested in working with them, and he stood up and left. A little later, Jiang went to a restaurant and saw Garvey sitting with a girl. She thought that girl must be his girlfriend. Angry, she decided that since he had refused to work with her, she would make him pay. She went straight to him and addressed him affectionately and called him honey. She asked what he was doing there without her and what would happen to their company. Hearing this, the girl asked who Jiang was. Jiang quickly introduced herself and explained that she is his girlfriend. The girl became furious and left. Garvey looked amused and asked if that was not interesting. Jiang responded that of course it was, and since he had refused the deal and made her lose money, she would now make him lose everything and ruin his life. Garvey calmly explained that his family had pressured him into a blind date and that he had not known how to get rid of the girl. Thanks to Jiang, she had left, and he had actually been helped by her. Jiang was stunned, thinking what she had done as she wanted to harm him, yet ended up helping him. Garvey then asked if 2,000 yuan was really that important to her. Jiang replied that every 2,000 yuan in her life was important. Garvey said that in that case, she should make a deal with him, and he would put her on a salary. He handed her a contract and told her she would have to pretend to be his girlfriend in front of his family so that they would stop forcing him into blind dates. At first, Jiang refused completely, but the moment Garvey mentioned a monthly salary of 50,000 yuan, she immediately agreed. Garvey then told her that she would have to live at his house. Jiang protested that she would not live with him, but for the sake of money, she accepted. At Garvey's house, she listened to all his rules. She tried to object to a few, but in the end, she could not say much. She thought that, although she did not really like this job, for that much money, it was excellent, and she could do it. After finalizing everything with Garvey, she left his place. On the way, she met her friend Sue, who teased her again by asking if she still did not have a boyfriend. Jiang replied boldly that her boyfriend was actually a CEO. Sue mocked her and said that if that was the case, then she should definitely bring him to the class reunion party so that everyone could see who he was. At that rate, Sue might as well have offered to print invitation cards herself. The next morning, Jiang cooked breakfast for Garvey and did all his chores. He asked in disbelief what was wrong with her and whether she had lost her mind. Jiang gave him a fake smile. He pressed her to tell him honestly what she wanted. Finally, she admitted that he would have to pretend to be her boyfriend for just one day. Garvey refused, saying he was the one paying her salary, not the other way around, so she should not expect such favors. Saying this, he walked away, and Jiang was forced to attend the reunion party alone. There she saw that all her classmates had come with their partners. Watching all the couples together, she quietly sat aside, unable to do anything. Sue then asked where her boyfriend was. Jiang lied that he was very busy with work, so she had not disturbed him. Her friend Nian then suggested that she call him right away so that they could all see him. Everyone encouraged her to make the call. Out of compulsion, Jiang was forced to make the call, and while video calling, she sweetly said, "Darling, how are you?" Garvey on the other end coldly replied that he told her not to disturb him and asked if she went crazy. The moment Sue heard this, she burst out laughing and said she already told everyone that this girl was lying. It was impossible that anyone could ever like her. She was an orphan, she had no parents, so who would even want to keep her with them? Garvey heard all of this and fell into deep thought, wondering what exactly he did because apparently he missed the class where they teach how to avoid drama. After ending the call, Jiang became sad and thought to herself that if Garvey only supported her for one single day, just to save her dignity, what would he lose? But shortly after, Garvey arrived there with his guards and some servants carrying gifts. Seeing this, Jiang became extremely happy. She went forward, held his hand, and asked if he came there. Garvey explained that he was in a nearby meeting, and when he heard that she was present there, he came to meet her. He then instructed his servants to distribute the gifts among everyone. But when Sue reached out to take a gift, Garvey said that she did not deserve it, so she could not have it. Everyone else was delighted with the presents, praising Garvey greatly, and Jiang felt overjoyed seeing all this. However, the moment she realized that she was still holding Garvey's hand and standing very close to him, she quickly stepped back. The next morning, Jiang went to her office where she bumped into her colleague. That colleague rudely entered the elevator and even stopped an intern from entering it. Jiang protested that everyone had the right to use the elevator and no one could snatch away their rights. Saying this, she pulled the intern inside with her and went upstairs. Because of this, the boss became very angry at the other employee for being late and even deducted a small portion of her salary. Her colleague pointed toward Jiang and complained that she too was late. Jiang then defended herself, saying she was not late at all, she was in the office for a while, but went to get some printing done because the printer was not working. She showed the file in her hands as proof. The boss commended her with a good job and walked away, leaving her colleague jealous as she sat down to work. Both of them resumed their tasks. After finishing her work, Jiang went to the new intern whose name was Meng and told him that since it was his first day in the office, she would treat him. She took him to a restaurant where the food turned out to be extremely spicy. Meng was about to order a cold drink for her, but she stopped him, saying that the price was too high. Meng looked at her and commented that she was very strange, almost like a walking budget app in human form. After finishing the meal, when they came out, she happily told him that she bought fruits at a very cheap price. As they passed a fish shop, Meng pointed toward a fish and asked what type of fish that was. The shopkeeper noticed his gesture, quickly cut the fish, and handed it over to them. Before Jiang could even understand and lower Meng's hand, it was already done. The shopkeeper then demanded 9 yuan. Hearing this, Jiang protested, saying his salary was only 8 yuan, so how could he give 9? But the shopkeeper immediately called some thugs. Jiang stepped aside, saying it was Meng's problem and he should solve it himself, that she had nothing to do with it, and then she ran off. Meng thought in despair that the girl abandoned him and escaped at the time of trouble. But then Jiang returned with her scooter, told him to hop on, and together they fled while the thugs chased them. In the very next scene, both were sitting outside the shop after the thugs took the money and left. Meng told her she was crazy because anyone could easily outrun such a slow scooter. Jiang became sad and admitted that it was her fault, as she did not manage to change the scooter's battery. She did not have enough money for that at the moment. Meng told her that he even saw her using lotion sparingly because she did not even have money for that. On top of that, she paid for the fish as well, which he would have covered himself. He told her to save that money and buy herself lotion instead. Jiang insisted that she could manage everything on her own and told him not to worry. She reminded him that he was an intern and his pay was even less than hers. Meng was moved by her words, and from then on, he began following Jiang's advice. never allowing himself to be pressured by others. His new attitude surprised everyone, as they wondered what happened to him. But Jiang was most surprised when her boss told her that from now on, she would be responsible for training Meng and teaching him everything. Meng closely observed Jiang at work, watching how each day she dealt with clients, pleaded with them, flattered them falsely, and tolerated all their behavior. But Meng did not like any of it at all. He wondered how Jiang could tolerate such things. One day, while dealing with one client, he lost his patience and behaved rudely. Seeing this, Jiang immediately apologized to the client on his behalf, but the client still left. Meng then asked her whether she would do absolutely anything just for the sake of money. Jiang firmly replied that money was extremely important to her. She pointed toward her colleagues and explained that they too badly needed the money, and Meng simply did not understand. She reminded him how much effort they all put into securing that project and told him that with just one careless line, he ruined everything. Hearing all this, Meng grew angry and walked away. But the very next morning, he came to Jiang and handed her a file. She asked him what it was, and when she opened it, she was shocked to see the client's signature. This meant he signed the contract and finalized the deal with them. Jiang asked Meng how he managed to do that. Cut to the flashback. Early that morning, Meng followed his client, telling him that he would do his daughter's homework for free and was ready to help in any way, but begged him to finalize the deal with their company. Meng admitted that he was very impulsive and sometimes acted recklessly, but his team was highly professional. Hearing this, a smile appeared on his client's face, and he signed the contract. The scene then shifted back to the present, where Meng told Jiang that it was only after she scolded him that his eyes opened. He also knew very well that she did not sleep the whole night, worrying that they did not secure the deal, and he pointed out how her skin suffered because of the stress. That was why he bought her some products for her skincare. Seeing this, Jiang laughed and told Meng that for this, she would forgive him. In the evening, Jiang went home carrying some toys with her. Garvey asked her what those were, so she started explaining that since his mother and younger brother were coming that day, she brought them to welcome them and quickly win their hearts. Just then, someone appeared, leaving her shocked as she wondered what he was doing there. Garvey got a little confused and explained that he was his younger brother, Meng, which surprised Jiang even more. Meng remarked that he never imagined his boss at the office would turn out to be his brother's girlfriend. After that, they all sat on the couch and started talking, though Meng kept making things difficult for her. Whenever Garvey praised Jiang, Meng added some remarks that made her feel confused. Garvey's mother scolded Meng, saying he did not even know how to speak properly. Meng then complained that Jiang insulted him at the office. But that was not the case. The same evening before leaving the office, he brought her a small flowering plant and confessed that he liked her. She scolded him sharply and went to sit on a chair, making him protest that if she wanted to refuse, she could have simply refused politely instead of scolding him as if he had stolen her Wi-Fi. Soon, everyone sat down for dinner. Garvey's aunt, who was present there, started saying she wanted to test this girl to see if she knew household work. When Jiang placed another dish on the table, the aunt told her to wash all the dishes afterward. Garvey, who was already trying to stop his aunt from talking, warned her to keep quiet or else find a job for her nephew herself. The aunt reminded him that he promised to help the boy, to which Garvey replied firmly that if that was the case, then she must respect his wife, because her behavior clearly showed no respect for him or his family. He said anyone who did not respect his wife did not respect him either, and he would not help such a person. Hearing the word wife from Garvey's mouth, she became shocked for a moment, but this brought a smile to Jiang's face. The aunt quickly said she was joking and told Jiang not to take it to heart. Jiang replied that she would not. Meng mischievously asked who would wash the dishes now, and the aunt laughed, saying she would do it herself, which made everyone smile. The next day, Jiang was eating, when Garvey told her that if she kept eating like that, she would never lose weight. She replied that she did not need to lose weight and told him to keep his ideas to himself. Garvey invited her to come along to a meeting, promising that if the deal was confirmed, he would treat her to 8 dishes. She immediately agreed, telling him to go right away. They visited Mr. Liu at his home and saw his wife angrily accusing him of having an affair with someone from the factory, even hitting him and pointing to lipstick marks on his shirt and missed calls as proof. Mr. Liu was hurt and told them he was in no position to discuss any deal because of the condition of his home. Jiang then asked him if he had trouble sleeping at night and also questioned his wife, leaving them surprised as they wondered how she knew. Zhang explained that there was no real problem between them and advised Liu's wife to take care of her skin, saying that the more she looked after herself, the more her husband would be drawn to her and she would never fear he was thinking about anyone else. His wife became happy, and seeing her happy gave Mr. Liu relief as well. Zhang winked at Garvey, making him smile at Zhang's cute face. Outside, Garvey asked how she knew all that. Zhang explained that she believed in science, and by observing people's body signs, she understood a lot of things easily. She had seen medicines for insomnia on their table, which showed they could not sleep at night. By observing everything carefully, she understood where the problem was and gave them a solution. Garvey laughed and said she was great because she guessed everything, and all her guesses turned out right. Zhang replied that she was not some genius or a person with superpowers, but that confidence was important. She said she always learned that projects depended on the customer's mood, and the more ability a person had to say nonsense confidently, the higher the chances of getting projects. She got carried away while talking, but when she looked around, Garvey was not beside her. Turning back, she saw him standing behind and ran to him, apologizing if she spoke too much nonsense. Garvey reassured her that she actually saved him that day because the project was very important, and he was not angry at all. He added that sometimes talking nonsense was good. He told her that, as promised, they would go for her treat, and since he got the project, he would also give her a bonus. Hearing this made Jiang very happy. She held his hand, telling him he really scared her, and then she began listing her favorite dishes, while Zhou happily joined her childish excitement. Now they even go out for a short trip. But somehow, Meng finds them and also stays there. He even tells Garvey that he can leave, calling him sweet big brother. He insisted that he knew very well that she was only pretending to be his girlfriend, so they should not do any drama in front of him. He pointed out that Garvey didn't even know how to treat her properly, adding that he was extremely boring and would bore her to death, while he, on the other hand, would always keep entertainment ready. He explained that their company had 8 team leaders and she was the only woman among them, and he knew perfectly well how to treat her. Hearing this, Garvey told him not to talk too much because he too knew very well how to treat her and how to keep her happy, saying that she would actually get bored with him instead, and then told him to leave immediately, even pushing him away. But at that very moment, Garvey received a call from his client, and Meng remarked with a smirk that Garvey couldn't possibly leave his client for her and must take the call. After all, clients don't wait, not even for dramatic love triangles. Garvey picked up the call and walked away. Meng then told Jiang to see how boring Garvey was and suggested she could spend time with him instead, even think about him. Jiang replied firmly that he should stop all this childishness because it would never happen, reminding him that, contract or not, she was with his brother, and he knew that. Meng agreed, but claimed she didn't know how boring Garvey truly was, and promised to show her. Both of them then remembered a flashback when Garvey was drinking coffee early in the morning while the two of them were drinking tea and making funny noises as they sipped, and Garvey just stared at them. Remembering all this, Meng said, "See, I told you he's boring," and walked away with Jiang. In the present scene, he told her to think about him, but she said she couldn't think about anyone because it was so hot there that if she stayed any longer, she would faint and needed to get into cool air immediately. Just then, a llama spat saliva on her, and she asked why it was spitting on her. Garvey appeared, wiped her face with a tissue, and he explained that llamas can be a bit aggressive, so it's better to stay away, told her not to worry, and offered to help her wash her face. He gave her some cosmetics as a gift, telling her to wash her face using them. After that, he handed her an iced drink, saying he knew she liked it, so he ordered one more for her to enjoy peacefully. Hearing this, Jiang said she had already drunk it at home and pointed out that Garvey didn't even like it. Garvey replied that since she liked it, he could like it too, and asked her to come with him. Jiang smiled and followed him happily. Meng watched them together, feeling extremely jealous, and wondered whether they were making him jealous on purpose or actually starting to care deeply about each other. In the next scene, Jiang sat in a car and thanked her friend for coming, asking if she brought everything she requested. Her friend confirmed, giving her jewelry, a bag, a dress, and even a car, so she could go to dinner with Garvey in style. The friend asked why she was putting in so much effort just for dinner with her boyfriend. Jiang replied that all her classmates and friends had boyfriends, but she never paid attention to it until Sue teased her, making her feel she should focus on it. In the next scene, Garvey waited for Jeong, who arrived beautifully dressed, and then they dined with Garvey's friends. Garvey asked if she would drink wine, and she said she researched it a lot at night so she would try. A client offered her a glass of wine, calling it lazy wine, which confused her, but recalling all her lectures from the night, she tried to explain everything she learned. Garvey smiled looking at her, but she gave the wrong answer, making everyone laugh. Seeing Garvey, she thought she might have embarrassed him. The clients asked her to speak more, but when she did, they got offended. Garvey told them not to take her words seriously because she didn't mean anything bad. To apologize, she said she would drink the wine, but a client challenged her to drink the whole bottle instead of a glass. Another client commented that Garvey would never allow her to drink that much. Jeong looked at Garvey, who was busy on his phone, and remembered her friend warning her that she didn't belong to that circle and shouldn't go there. Another client remarked that Garvey didn't like her. Jeong, upset, lifted the bottle to drink, but when she tasted it, she said it was just water and wondered how that happened. The flashback revealed that when everyone was busy embarrassing Jeong, Garvey secretly arranged for his servant to replace the wine with water, and when Jeong drank it all, everyone thought she drank the whole wine bottle and praised her capacity. Afterward, Garvey said everything else was fine. He told them that the way they behaved with his girlfriend that day was something he would not tolerate, and he also told them he would not come with them to any party again. Saying this, he took Jeong's hand and walked out of the room while everyone kept calling after him, but he did not listen to anyone. On his way out, he took a dress from his servant, handed it to Jeong, and told her to change. Jeong asked when he ordered it, and he replied that he had been noticing for a long time that she was not comfortable in the dress she wore, but she still wore it so that he would not feel embarrassed, so he ordered this dress during the party so that she could feel comfortable. Jeong's mood improved slightly, and then she asked him whether she embarrassed him that day. He replied that absolutely not. He did not need a girlfriend to complete his projects and told her she could enjoy her own things. He asked if she was hungry and suggested they go and eat something. Hearing this, she smiled. The next morning, Jeong was at a shoot, which was a product shoot. And as soon as it ended, a girl named Shen approached her and asked whether her husband Ming could also act there. In the next scene, Jeong went with the girl to her home, where some vegetable dishes were prepared. Jeong told the girl to start eating, but Shen said she did not eat carrots as she disliked them completely. Her mother-in-law said Shen was being too picky and told her to eat quietly because they were healthy, and Ming also said the same. Jeong quickly interrupted by joking that although they were healthy, no one could eat them daily unless they were secretly a rabbit on a fitness plan, and she got up to cook something tasty. After Jeong left, Shen's mother-in-law reminded her that she had been married for 1.5 years and should already have planned a baby. Hearing this, Shen looked at Ming, but he kept ignoring her and focused on his food as if nothing mattered. Shen tried to assure her mother-in-law they were thinking about it, trying to pacify her, but the elder got angry. Shen explained that they also needed money for such responsibilities and did not have enough right now, but her mother-in-law was not ready to listen. Soon, Jeong returned with food and asked Aunt to taste it, but after eating, that aunt shouted and said there was ginger in it, which she did not eat and had already told them. Jeong apologized, saying she completely forgot. Ming quickly presented another dish to her mother, but that also contained ginger. Shen's mother-in-law became furious and scolded Jeong for adding ginger to everything when she knew it was not allowed. Jeong laughed and replied that Aunt could not eat ginger because she disliked it from the beginning, and if she knew her daughter-in-law could not eat carrots, why did she keep making carrot dishes? Was it to make her daughter-in-law suffer the same way, or just to satisfy her own soul by such actions? Then Shen's mother-in-law said if Shen had a problem with something, she could change it. When asked whether she should change her house or her husband, she said she tried hard to win her mother-in-law's heart, but she never listened and always made her life harder whenever she came to stay. Hearing this, Ming scolded Shen for talking like that to his mother. She told him either he made his mother understand or they would get divorced. The decision was his. Then she looked at Jeong, who smiled at her, calming her slightly. After that ended, Jeong remarked in the live show that there were only 2 treatments. Either throw out a person who did not value you or stay with someone who did, and then flowers would bloom in balconies. She said flowers were about to bloom in her own balcony too, and then she introduced Garvey to her mother, who was delighted and told Jeong to make something nice to eat. Garvey stopped her, saying they should go out for food instead of her cooking. Jong's mother insisted that as it was his first visit, he could not leave without eating at their home. Garvey lied, saying he got a free food offer at a nearby 5-star hotel so they could eat there. Jong's mother became excited and told him to hurry, even informing all neighbors that her daughter's boyfriend was very handsome and showing him to every woman she met, as though she could not contain her joy. Jong noticed everything as Garvey held her hand. She teased him for lying about the free food, and Garvey explained he disliked seeing her working hard in the kitchen and wanted to spend good time with her, so eating out was better. Hearing this, Jong smiled. Just then, her cosplay costume arrived, and she tried to hide it from her mother, thinking she could not show it, but her mother saw it and scolded her, saying she had told her not to do immoral work. Jiang tried to explain, but her mother refused to listen. Garvey immediately stepped in, explaining that it was just a cosplay costume, not immoral at all, and it would not harm the family's reputation. Watching this, Jiang respected him even more for defending and protecting her and valuing her dreams. Later at night, both were sitting in the car and Jiang thanked him, saying he really helped her a lot that day. He looked at her very intently and said that their 1-month contract was about to end. Jiang had already spent a month, did she forget? Hearing this, Jiang became quite upset. The next morning, while she was having breakfast, her mother asked why he hadn't come back with her and told her to invite him home again. Hearing this, Jiang replied that she had already broken up with him. As soon as her mother heard that, she got very angry, started yelling at Jiang, and said she had warned her that if she kept acting this way, no one would ever want to be her boyfriend, or even be in a relationship with her because everyone said this kind of behavior was wrong. Then she asked Jiang what she had put on her eyes. Jiang answered, "Mascara." That only made her mother angrier, and she said she had forbidden her from using such things. She also told Jiang that she had to go with her to the hospital for a checkup. At that, Jiang asked when her mother would stop controlling her life, saying she sometimes felt like she wasn't even human, more like a puppet her mother used at will. She then remembered a flashback where she was sitting in her room working and closed the door. Her mother came in, opened the door, and said she had told her not to close it. After that, her mother even read her chats and said she didn't like what she was seeing and would have to keep an eye on her. The next morning, her mother entered her room, checked her phone, woke her up, and scolded her for ordering so many things, accusing her of not valuing money at all. Hearing this, Jiang asked if she had checked her phone, and her mother replied that as her mother, she could check it any time. She demanded an explanation for every single item Jiang had ordered, and Jiang had to give her one. The scene shifted to the present where Jiang, extremely angry, showed her mother all the things she had secretly hidden and told her that because of her, she had started lying and felt suffocated in her own life. She said her mother could stay happy here because she herself felt she shouldn't live there anymore. As she was about to leave, her mother cried and said that now even Jiang didn't love her anymore and was leaving her too. Jiang recalled a flashback of when her father was alive. She came home from school, saw lots of alcohol bottles on the table, worriedly went to her mother and saw she was badly injured. Jiang asked if her father had gotten drunk again and hit her, said she would go with her, and asked her to divorce him so they could live peacefully together without him making their lives miserable. Hearing this, her mother hugged her. But that night, as Jiang went out to drink water, she overheard her mother talking to her father, serving him alcohol. She even told him to eat noodles after drinking because he was hungry, and saying that Jiang had told her to get a divorce, but she didn't want to leave him. Hearing this broke Jiang's heart. Back in the present, Jiang looked at her mother and said she had always been her first priority and always would be, but she wished that in her next life she wouldn't be her daughter, because her mother had chosen a life full of pain and then forced that same suffering onto her. Saying this, Jiang left. In the next scene, Jiang was in the office when Meng came to her and said he had good news that her breakup was confirmed. He asked if it was true. Jiang replied that Meng was overthinking it. She was never really in a relationship. It was just a contract that had expired, and there was nothing to make such a fuss about. Meng said he knew his brother had made her sad, but promised he would never make her unhappy if only she would give him a chance. Just then, Jiang saw Garvey coming with another girl, which ruined her mood. The girl asked who Jiang was, and Meng boldly said Jiang was his girlfriend. Hearing this, Garvey got a little angry and walked away with the girl. That night, when Garvey came home, he found Meng sitting there. Garvey asked why he was there, and Meng said it was his girlfriend's house, so he had every right to be there. Garvey loudly called out Jiang's name, but Meng said she wasn't home, but she had gone to a hotel to meet a client. Garvey got furious and said Meng must be out of his mind. How could she be at a hotel late at night with a client? Didn't he realize how dangerous that was? Garvey demanded to know which hotel it was. Meng replied that he knew she was safe and that Garvey had no business interfering, adding jokingly that if Jiang really got into trouble, she'd text the group chat. She's more responsible than Garvey's sense of fashion. He then said he was going to take a shower and walked away. Garvey shouted that he seemed to forget whose house it was. After Meng left, Garvey checked all the messages giving updates about Jiang and found one saying she was alone in a room with a client. Reading that, Garvey completely lost his mind, imagined the worst, and when he couldn't wait any longer, stormed out, because he started thinking that something worse will happen to Jiang. Meng called after him, asking where he was going so late, but Garvey ignored him and left. Garvey ran to the hotel, and as soon as he saw the man, he angrily grabbed him and demanded to know where Jiang was. Just then, Jiang came out and asked what was wrong and why he was so angry. Garvey ran to her, asking if she was okay, if anything had happened to her. Jiang, shocked, asked why he was behaving this way. When Garvey tried to confront the man again, Jiang told him to stop and let him go. The man called Garvey crazy, said he didn't know what kind of lunatic he had run into, and hurried off. Jiang then explained she was at a spa, getting some treatment to relax. She asked Garvey why he had come there and why he was pretending to care about whether she existed or not, since he didn't even like her in the first place. Hearing this, Garvey shouted and asked when he ever said that he did not like her, adding that in fact, she was the one who said she did not like him. Jiang, also shouting, replied that he himself said their contract was going to end, which clearly meant he wanted her to go away, so she simply did what she thought was right. Garvey angrily asked if she was out of her mind, explaining that he was only informing her about the contract ending because after that, he planned to confess his feelings to her. The flashback showed that when Garvey was just about to confess, Jiang interrupted, saying she already understood and that there was no need to say anything, after which she got out of the car and left. Returning to the present, Jiang declared that enough was enough and accused Garvey of being crazy, asking why he couldn't just talk to her properly, then walked away. Garvey followed her, caught her by the arm, turned her toward him, and kissed her. The next morning, Jiang went to a cafe with Garvey to meet her friend Nian. When Nian cheerfully announced that she had found a boyfriend for Jiang, Jiang was stunned, while Garvey quickly pulled her hand back and snapped that she must be crazy because he was already there as her man and apparently believing romance is best solved by shouting. Nian, looking confused, explained that she used Jiang's picture on a dating app to attract someone who actually liked her photo and begged Jiang to meet him in her place and later reveal the truth. Garvey held Jiang's hand as Nian folded her hands in pleading, and Jiang agreed to help. Soon, both of them were ready at the cafe, waiting for the man to arrive, while Nian reminded Jiang to tell him the truth later and explain everything. Jiang reassured her not to worry, promising to handle everything. When the man arrived, Jiang told Nian to let her manage the situation and assess what kind of person he was. The man sat down in front of Jiang and said he brought her a gift. Hearing this, Nian commented excitedly that he was so nice to bring a gift on the very first meeting. Jiang nodded and asked where it was. The man reached into his pocket, but then sheepishly admitted he forgot it, promising to bring it next time. Jiang accused him of pretending and said it seemed he never bought any gift at all, probably because he knew she was poor and couldn't give him anything valuable. The man denied this and said she misunderstood him, offering instead to treat her to Japanese food. Jiang eagerly suggested going to a nearby Japanese restaurant since she was very hungry, but the man became nervous and said Japanese food was not really that good and that he would rather take her for Maldivian cuisine. Jiang laughed and said Maldivian food was very expensive, asking if he really wanted to spend so much, and then offered to just order something at the cafe. As she was about to order, the man stopped her again, coming up with another excuse. Jiang grew impatient and asked if he planned to feed her or just sit there making excuses. The man then admitted openly that he had just started a business and reminded her that she promised to invest in it. Before he could continue, Jiang interrupted, asking when she ever promised such a thing. The man quickly said yes, she did, which made Jiang glare at Nian, who responded with a fake smile. Jiang then told the man to wait for her and went inside with Nian. angrily asking her what she had done and whether she was crazy, pointing out that the man only cared about money, not love. Nian replied she didn't know, as he never talked like this before, but then nervously joked that even if he was broke, at least he cared about her. Zhang tried to explain that waiting for someone who couldn't even take responsibility was foolish, and wasting feelings on such a person was nothing but stupidity. Nian argued that maybe he was sincere, so Zhang decided to prove it immediately. Zhang returned to the man and said she would give him money, but wanted to know what share of the business would be hers. The man bluntly said the entire business would belong to him and asked why she needed a share. Hearing this, Nian finally realized that he was only after her money. Furious, she slapped him and told Zhang to leave. Zhang smiled faintly and walked away with her. The man tried to stop them, but could not find any excuse to do so. The next morning, Zhang was sitting in her office while a person named Zheng was giving her a presentation, and she was thinking that he was her ace, who had only come there to show he was superior to her, though he did not realize she would never let him succeed, so she started planning how to handle him. Meanwhile, Zheng came over and sat beside her, trying to show his superiority even more. Zhang then tried to prove with all her information that he was wrong, but Zheng was not someone who would ever agree. To get rid of him, she told him that her father was there to meet her and she would introduce him, and jokingly said he still looked exactly the same as before. Just then, Garvey entered, and both of them recalled a flashback in which Zhang was extremely worried at home about facing Zheng. So while looking at Garvey's face, she told him that he could help her by coming to the office as her father to handle the situation, and she assured him she trusted him completely. The scene shifted to the present where Zheng, upon seeing Garvey, commented that her father looked very young, asking why he appeared so youthful. Garvey sat down beside him and replied that if Zheng kept skipping meals, he would naturally look weak enough to fly away in a light breeze, which is impressive if you're aiming for a career as a kite. Garvey explained that he stayed young because he took good care of his diet, unlike Zheng. At that moment, a colleague arrived and told Jiang that Shan had given birth to a baby, suggesting they should go to the hospital to meet her. Zheng mocked women for being weak, but Garvey told Jiang and her colleague to go meet their friend and give her a gift, and he even prepared gifts himself for Jiang to take. This made Zheng realize what a big mistake he had made in front of Jiang's supposed father. Later in the evening, Jiang went to meet Meng, who was praying and asking God to ensure she did not marry anyone else, even wondering how big a donation he would need to make for her to avoid marrying his brother. Jiang laughed hearing all this, and Meng asked if she had really decided to marry his brother so quickly. He questioned how she could decide so fast, even though his brother was successful, wealthy, and had a bright future, yet still caused trouble. Jiang remembered a flashback where she went sightseeing and saw Garvey with the same girl she had seen before, who asked Garvey about their relationship. Garvey angrily told her to get her head straight and placed her hand on ice, causing her to storm off. Jiang laughed at this memory, and then in the present, she was walking with Meng, who asked what she saw in Garvey, pointing out that Garvey was much older than her, could not care for her the way Meng could, and could not even talk like a normal person. Jiang began explaining what she liked in Garvey, recalling all his efforts to make her happy, such as dancing in front of her friends, saving her from embarrassment, and even giving gifts to her friends so she would not feel bad. Jiang said that after so much effort, she could not leave Garvey, adding that Meng should have known Garvey better than she did, though she believed she knew Meng find someone even better than Jiang herself, and told Meng not to think about her because he would meet someone who truly belonged to him. Meng watched her leave and thought maybe someone else was indeed meant for him, wishing her happiness. The scene changed to Jiang at home, adjusting her wedding dress. Whenever she tried to do something, her mother and aunts stopped her, saying she should not do it since she was about to get married. Jiang told them they were behaving as if she were preparing for a competition instead of a wedding, saying that when she was Garvey's girlfriend, he never interfered with her work, so why would he now? She told them they were troubling her unnecessarily, but they still believed she would create many problems later. Meeting Garvey again, Jiang asked if she should show all these concerns to Mother, and Garvey told her she must follow his mother's words. He then took her to his home, where his mother, seeing Jiang, became angry and behaved strangely, questioning why Jiang chose such an expensive wedding dress. Jiang got nervous, and when Garvey's mother left the room, Jiang said she did not want to marry him, fearing his mother would always behave like that after marriage, just as her own mother had warned. But then his mother entered with jewelry and gold, saying she had chosen everything for Jiang, which surprised her. Garvey opened a cupboard and pointed out that even after so many years of marriage, his mother still knew nothing, asking why Jiang thought she would be overly strict or expect her to be perfect. Looking at her future mother-in-law, Jiang said she had not been welcomed warmly, so Garvey's mother quickly apologized, explaining she was simply surprised by the sudden visit. She then gave Jiang some gifts, which made Jiang very happy and hugged her, after which Jiang said that in marriage, it is not only important to find a good partner, but also to have a good family, because a perfect family could make life much easier. With that, the drama ended.